Hey friends, you're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm Henry.
And I'm Irene.
Today, I'm going to get around to something that's been on the to-do list for quite a number of weeks. We did a series on buying raw land in any place in the country, but specifically in northern Arizona. We had a couple of comments, and I promised RG Homestead that I'd comment back on his comments because what he said was really fabulous.
So the first one was Henry wasn't wearing boots when he was using a chainsaw.
Guilty. I wasn't. I used to have some logging boots. I don't have them anymore, but they really weren't any thicker than the tennis shoes that I was wearing. If I were out in the woods, if I were going to be someplace where there was brush and briars and things that could be tripping me, I would definitely be wearing boots. But good point.
Henry wasn't wearing gloves in the chainsaw video. You usually do wear gloves, actually.
Well, I do and I don't. It depends on how my hands are doing. I have some neurological problems in my hand from some surgeries I had, probably better than 15 years ago. And days when I really...
More like 20.
A while ago. The days when I'm having a few problems with my hands, I don't wear gloves doing pretty much anything because I want to be able to feel when I'm losing... At least it's just joined up with me.
Right, because we sat in the corner again on these silly chairs.
In any case, I don't wear gloves when I'm doing many things, when I'm having problems with them, because when I have too many problems, I'll spontaneously lose my grip. And my concern in using a chainsaw is I don't want to lose the grip on the chainsaw when I'm using it. That would be really, really bad. The majority of chainsaw accidents are lower extremities, your legs.
This person was saying that they've seen a lot of younger folks out in the sticks, basically, in Arizona, with kids building up their homestead, enjoying it. We've seen an interesting combination of people out here. And although I admire some of the tenacity, I also question their sanity sometimes. Some of the people that move out here because they want to completely isolate themselves from modern society. There's other people who move out here seemingly without consideration for where their kids are going to go to school. What are your kids going to do for friends?
There's probably one of the biggest things that we see is when you move out in the sticks. Sorry, Dan. If you ever watched Dan at Home in the Sticks, you should take a look at his channel. I'll put a link to his channel in the show notes. But when you live out in the sticks like we do, you really need to think about how are your kids going to be interacting with other people, especially other kids their own age or near to their own age.
When it comes to supplies, not covering food and water is equipment and materials to build everything. Yeah.
You know, when we built our place starting 15 years ago, it was a chore to get supplies scheduled coming out here. When we built the slab for our foundation, we got half of it poured. The slab is in several sections, which was fine, but we had almost a 6-month gap between we first started pouring and when the slab was started because we had extra rain that year.
Yeah, and the main road washed out and you simply could not put a concrete truck on it for months.
Now, when we first moved here, we could get the big box stores to come out with lumber, and we also got most of our lumber from a local hardware and lumber yard.
Yeah, they were awesome.
And we got excellent service from them. But again, they were willing to come out, but a lot of other people aren't. The next point that RG Homestead made was, where do you buy your supplies? Lumber, pipe, and that sort of thing. Is it local to you or is it a further distance away? Well, for us, the only option was a further distance away. But the real problem with our local hardware store at that point was they didn't carry normal building supplies. They'd carry some repair parts, but the usual response was, we can have it for you Thursday.
The closest hardware store, which is in Williams, the prices are going to be considerably higher than if you go to a big box store. And while I'm willing to pay that premium sometimes, if you're building a house and you need 50 fittings or 100 fittings, first of all, they're not going to have them.
It adds up really fast.
When we go to buy a part for PVC pipe, we always buy a contractor's pack.
What do you do for first aid? Well,
Right.
he made a really good point, and that is you should take a first aid class if you're going to move someplace where there's not relatively immediate
Well,
access.
it's not a bad plan if you don't have neighbors, like 20 feet away neighbors, who might be helpful. And I say might because some people are useless. Every adult for sure should have at least a basic first aid class anyway.
The big thing is if you're going to live out in the sticks like we do, you need to be able to take care of yourself
Yeah.
in pretty much any circumstance. That means you need to have some basics of first aid.
Yeah.
You need to know how to get out from wherever you are to where you can be picked up by an ambulance. Irene was an NRA shotgun instructor. I've been a long time shooter. I hold a number of medals in long arms, in long guns. We've both been hunters. We've both survived based on our hunting skills. We don't do that anymore for a whole lot of reasons, not the least of which is now it's built up too much around us.
I see people who from the city who've never owned a firearm in their life, who move out to the country and are enamored of Bambi and the whole thing. I get that. I have never taken a pot shot at a mountain lion or a coyote or a fox or a bobcat.
Yeah, we rely on the wild predators here to keep down the rodents and other animals that are destructive on our property. We have a horrible problem with gophers and with ground squirrels. And if you live someplace else, you probably don't know what a ground squirrel is, but it looks like a squirrel. It just burrows under the ground.
Right, and they are virtually impossible to keep out. One thing, is your car able to handle off-grid living, i.e. dirt roads?
Boy, this is a really big point.
Yes.
You know, most of our roads around here are not county maintained, and even the ones that are county maintained
Are pretty awful sometimes.
are really rough.
Right.
So you have to develop a new driving style. The city style of ripping from point A to point B is just not going to cut it. Not only are you going to tear up your car, you're going to tear up the road.
Yeah.
And you may go off the road.
Yeah.
We've had people who have rolled their car
Yeah.
on our main road coming into our subdivision.
Several since we've been here.
To give you an idea about the amount of expense that goes with owning a vehicle out here, just going a few miles on a dirt road for a year, the average person spends about $1,500 in automotive repairs a year.
Now comes the fun part. Can you handle the unexpected thing that comes along with living off-grid, like back plans to the back plans and black plans and the back plans?
You know, this is a fabulous point. When you live truly in rural America, off-grid, you have to be able to fix most things yourself. There's really not going to be a tradesman that you can call up and say, "Hey, Joe, my solar system's broken. Could you pop out here in the next 10 or 15 minutes and get it working again?" That doesn't happen.
If this has not changed your minds about living off-grid, talk to folks in the area and learn from them about weather, heat, cold, do's and don'ts. Our rule here is when we get a new neighbor,
If they last 6 months,
they'll
they'll
probably
last.
stay. They'll probably stay. No matter whether it's 6 months of winter or 6 months of summer, if they make it through the 6 months, most don't make it past 3. It's too hard.
So I want to give you a very specific caution about painting an entire area with a broad brush from somebody that you watch on YouTube. When we talk about our specific circumstances here in the high desert of northern Arizona, we're only talking about our immediate surroundings.
Right.
If you listen to some YouTubers, we were listening to somebody today who was saying, "Well, it was really cold. It was 40 degrees." Well,
It was really cold this morning. It was 17 degrees.
so
There's a little difference there, guys.
there's a difference in
I can go out in a t-shirt in 40 degrees.
there's a difference in weather patterns and the terrain,
Yeah.
and what you can grow and what you can't grow, and the amount of predators that are there. You need to be focused on specific locations.
Right.
Don't accept some YouTuber's vision of what Arizona is like, or what Colorado is like,
Right.
or what Missouri is like, or Mississippi. It depends a lot on exactly where you're going to live.
Right.
There are people in southern Arizona who have a completely different environment than what we have up here.
Now, if you say you're ready, think again and again and again before jumping off grid.
Boy, that's probably the best thing that R.G. Homestead said here, is if you think you're ready, think about it, and then think about it some more, and think about it some more, and think about it yet again.
This was a little long-winded of me, but it should help anyone. I agree. Yeah.
This is a really great comment. And when R.G. Homestead first made it, I said, wow, that's a fabulous comment. I'm going to have to think about it. But we will make comment back to you, but we decided we'd do it here on a show so that everybody else could hear what we were saying back to
And
them.
we don't want to tell people not to move out. But to be honest, if I had to do over again, I would probably choose an area that had rural electrification.
Well, there's a few things that go along with having public utilities. You don't think about it, but a lot of mortgage companies will not lend
Yes.
on property that does not have connection to the power grid.
Right, because their thought is, if these people screw up and we have to foreclose, can we sell this place?
Thanks very much for watching. We hope that you found some of these comments back
Useful.
to R.G. Homestead useful,
Yeah.
interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, because we're going to be doing a lot more. And you may notice that our Christmas tree is on behind us. I think we're going to finish decorating it today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm tired of boxes around, so it's time. I told everybody I always reach that point where I just want to finish it now and just sit there and look at it.
Thanks very much. We'll talk with you later.
Bye.
Bye.